Okay, here we are. We have got our property information done, and now we're going to get our audit set up. Again, you can do this from the mobile app, but it's easier on the desktop while you're in the office. So my property info is done. I'm going to move on to audit prep. So I'm going to click on this little pen here. Okay, so we want to go ahead and put in our audit date. This is, let's say I'm doing the audit tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and put in the 28th. Okay, what are my units? Do I charge in 1,000 gallons or 100 cubic feet? This is important for several features of the app, but particularly payback projects. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it in 1,000 gallons. Here we have our water rates. Again, these are the defaults we put in at the beginning, but my defaults are for commercial. So I'm going to go ahead and change them to be more consistent with residential. So I'm going to change that 1.08 to $1.50. Oops. I want to make sure I get that decimal in there. Expensive. And I'm going to go ahead and remove sewer rate because residential doesn't have a sewer rate, just a fixed rate. Okay, so I'm good to go there. My general report notes, typically I fill that out after the assessment. I'm going to put everything that I found in there, just some pointers, but I can go ahead and say, leave a note that the resident concerned about high winter water use. Okay, so now we have either a combined meter or a dedicated meter. We're not going to get too deep into this, but any place that just has a single water meter is a combined meter. That means it's doing irrigation and inside water use. Dedicated meters are for usually like commercial where you go and you have a dedicated irrigation meter. So we're going to go ahead and leave that clicked. And what we want to do is capture as much information as the office. So when we get out there and do a meter read, we can see what's going on. So I know from my notes that the last meter read was on May 15th. And the last reading was 2373. Oops. Got to use the keyboard. Okay, so now that's going to let me go out there, see what the meter says, and see how many gallons I've used since the last read date. This will help me tell me if I still have a problem going on or not. Okay, so the rest of the flow rate, we'll figure that out if their meter's spinning, so we'll come back to that. Okay, our audit coverage, again, we're going out there thinking that we're doing a leak detection, so I'm going to go ahead and mark that, but it may change once we get there. Again, I don't always do a property map. It just depends. In this case, I'm not going to, but we could upload one. But here we have our water use graph. So what I did was I went and looked at their water use. I pulled it because I have the resources. So here is their water use for the past couple years. And so I went ahead and put it in a pivot table. And what I can see is, so here we have our water use and the y-axis in gallons, and then my months and years along the bottom. So right away, I can see that in January, when my water usage is very low, 2,000 or 3,000, I am way up at 20,000. So that all through the winters, that does indicate I probably have a problem. So I am going to be looking for a leak, but what else do I see? Wow, I've got a big seasonal use. So I know I've got irrigation going on, possibly even a big leak here. So I'm going to go ahead and note in my mind that I'm going to look for a leak, but I'm also maybe going to see if they'll let me do an irrigation assessment. So I saved this picture, just saved it as a picture, and I'm going to upload that into the app in this water use graph. So I'm going to do that, upload, and I'm going to add some notes. Winter water use is approximately 15 I'm going to say 1,000 gallons because we're speaking to regular humans. It's higher than normal. Also high summer use for irrigation. Okay, so we're good there. That property use graph is going to show up in the report. Now, let's say that I had a really unique year, or maybe I'm traveling all over the country doing water assessments. If I want to change something with my local ET, I'm going to do it right here. So let's say my default value is pretty consistent, but man, this May has been wicked hot. I might come in here and go ahead and change it just for this month, just for these audits, just depends, but we're going to go ahead and leave it now. So that's pretty much everything we need to do for our audit prep. We're ready to go to the property and see what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this green, and we're ready to get out to the property and see what we can find.